Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Brent and I'm the Chief Executive Officer of N-VisionIT Interactive. I'm here today with the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce to talk to you all about growing your business with search engine optimization. I'd like to mention at this point that you don't need to try and take notes throughout this. The presentation will be recorded and made available to all of you to watch at your convenience at a later date on YouTube. So just wanted to let you know, sit back, relax. But if you have questions throughout this webinar, feel free to submit them. I have a team on my end that will be taking those questions and formulating them. The first 45 minutes, we'll be talking about search engine optimization. And the last 15 minutes, we'll be going over your questions and whatnot. So let's get started. So very simply, most of you know this already, but what is search engine optimization? Search engine optimization is the process of gaining increased traffic from free listings on search engines or organic listings. So organic is another term that I may use throughout today to let you know these are free listings, something you don't pay for on the search results. Why does it matter? Well, most people don't know this, but over 70%, so 7 out of every 10 users that do a search will click on search engine results that are organic, not paid for. The other 30% are paid results. So that means 7 out of 10 people are finding what they're looking for by starting with a search engine. A surprising stat is 3 out of 4 of them, or 75% of them, do not go past the first page. And the top 3 results on the page, for whatever search they're doing at that time, get up to 60% of the organic clicks. These are not statistics I made up. These are statistics I got directly from Google and Yahoo. So these are the straight dope. In fact, everything I'm going to talk about today was straight from the horse's mouth, so to speak. Let's start with some questions. I wanted to start today with some questions, and so here's the first question. Jenny wishes to show up as one of the first search results for the term Ottawa flowers. So if Jenny increases the number of times Ottawa flowers is used within her website content, will this improve her score? Now, this is not a trick question. These are not trick questions whatsoever. I'd like you guys to answer honestly what you think. I will show these results to you after as to what you've answered. So I'll just close that and I'll share the results. So most people think that, yes, this will help to improve a rank, and some people think that it won't. It's a pretty close split. It's about a 60-40 split. So I'll get into that in a second. I'll just hide that. We're going to move ahead to another question as well. Albert wishes to show up as one of the first search results for the term Ottawa Angel Investors. If Albert rewrites his content weekly to ensure that it is always fresh, will this help improve his rank over time? Yes or no? So I'll launch that one as well. So please take a moment to answer that question as well. I'll close that and I'll share that result as well. So again, it's a very close split. Obviously, one of these answers is correct and one is incorrect in both scenarios. But for the most part, most people just don't know. And this is very normal in this industry. The challenge with search engine optimization is that it evolves very, very quickly. And so on top of that, people tend to talk and say, well, my search engine optimization expert says do this. So therefore, it must be fact. And so most things tend to make sense in our heads as well, and so we end up believing what we're told, and it tends to be more and more difficult to find out what really is the straight dope. So I'm going to tell you today, it's time to forget what you think you know. The first question, if Jenny increases the number of times Ottawa Flowers is in her website, will that increase her score? No, it will not. You can have the Ottawa Flowers in your website 1 or 2 times, but beyond that, and I have videos directly from Google that are linked to from this. So if you doubt me, don't worry about it. You can take a look at these afterwards directly from Google. It won't help. After 1 or 2 times, Google starts to reduce the amount of score significantly as to how much score they're going to give for you. So I've heard people, and I've watched presentations where people say, oh, you need X number of words, and 4% of those words should be the keywords you're trying to target, etc. Unfortunately, it's false. These statistics used to be true 5 to 10 years ago, but they are now false. Google doesn't want individuals to be able to game their search engine results. And when we talk a bit about how they show their search engine results, you will be shocked. It is very complex. They use over 200 different ways to rank a page, and all of those contribute to the score. The second question, which was about Ottawa angel investors, if Albert rewrites his content regularly, will that help? In this case, it will not help as well. And the reason for this is because one of those 200 rules that Google uses is called, now I say Google, but I'm just saying it for simplicity's sake. They have roughly 70% of the website traffic, but Yahoo and Microsoft Bing also use similar techniques as well. So just to clear that up for the rest of the presentation. They use what's known as an algorithm called query deserves freshness. So when the Olympics are going on, they will identify anything to do with the Olympics deserves freshness. So yes, it does matter how fresh your content is at that point. But if it is to do about Ottawa website development or Ottawa flowers or Ottawa angel investors, chances are the freshness is not going to tell them how relevant the content is and how they should rank it on the site. So keyword density does not matter so much. Obviously, you need those target keywords in your pages when you're writing your content, but you can write just in plain English. It has to be, it has to flow properly, and we'll talk about that after. You can include the words a couple of times naturally as you talk about it, but beyond that, it's not going to help. And there's no magic score that's going to help optimize you over your competitors. And again, you will be able to watch these videos on your own time. They're directly from Google, and they're publicly accessible, not just to someone who is Google certified like us. Meta tags. Most people say meta tags don't help. And they aren't used officially in the search engine optimization ranks by any of these sites. However, the meta description is the de facto term that Google or Yahoo or Bing uses when you do a search and you see in the results, you do a search for Ottawa web development and you see a description of who N-VisionIT Interactive is. That is our meta description tag. Why does that matter? Well, because there's 20 of them on the page, and the user's going to try and decide which ones they want to click on. If you haven't written engaging content or content that's going to help them to decide to pick you, you're not going to get that click. There's not even a chance that you get that sale. Worse yet, not only did you not get that sale, guess who has the chance to get that sale? Your competitors. That's a big issue, and it's very important to consider when building a site. Too many people focus on one thing only. I want a site that's visually appealing. Well, you know what? If you have a visually appealing site but your leads aren't getting to you, it's like having a storefront in the middle of a field and no addresses or no streets or no signs to tell you how to get there. It's just not worth it. We've talked about content freshness. Most cases, it doesn't matter. To an extent, it does. If your content is 3 or 4 years old and it's no longer relevant, there is an algorithm in Google that helps them to determine that. For example, if your website has statistics about your industry and they have statistics about the industry in their databases and they discern it's wrong or out of date and someone's searching for that, then they will take that into account. But content freshness has to do with whether or not what the person's searching for, it matters for it. So, yes, if you don't believe me, there is a link at the end of this webinar. You can take a look at more than 200 hours of videos prepared by Google themselves. I've watched every one of them, and they continue to add hours and hours every week. And they also have blogs that they continue to add blogs every day to. And this is the type of information that's very important to stay on top of search engine optimization technologies and how to keep your business on top. Now that sounds overwhelming. That's a lot of work. You know, there's months of videos you could watch there, which is why I've created this webinar for you. I'm covering some of the most important topics today. Don't take what I say today and assume that it's going to be 100% accurate in a year or 2 years from now. But it is relevant, and it will help you to do some major improvement today. You could get started after this. So what is the truth then? The truth is that Google uses a whole lot of different algorithms. Like I said, 200 of them. Here's some of the most important ones. The quality of content. It's got to be unique and rich. You know, if you copy an article from another site, Google will know. They've already indexed that content. You won't gain results from that. You won't gain relevance. You won't gain traffic. They've already scored that content for the other individual. And there are ways, if they haven't indexed that site and they index yours first, that they will be able to detect that they've made a mistake. They also measure the quality of content from another regard. There's one thing on your website that you can enable that's called Google Analytics. Most people know what it is, but if you don't, it's simply adding a piece of code to your website that helps you to know how many people are clicking your pages, how long they're staying on your site, and when they're leaving. But what this also does is it helps Google to know when they send people to your site. If I search for Ottawa flowers and I go to your site and I spend 3 minutes on there and I end up going to what's known as a goal, or in analytics you can say, I want someone to purchase something. That's a goal if you set that up. Then Google knows sending traffic to your site is resulting in people finding what they want. So they're going to favor you more than your competitor because they know that users are getting the results they're looking for. There's a fallacy that Google only cares about the revenue or the bottom line or the cash flow. They actually do care about that, obviously, because they have bills to pay too, but they care more about the user getting the information that they want and finding it what they want so that people stay loyal to Google. And they've spent and invested billions of dollars in these algorithms to make sure of this. And by delivering those results, they just gain more and more traffic, and it makes it harder for their competitors to compete. So content marketing and encouraging sharing of content. This includes social media. Did you know if you write an article and it ends up being shared on social media channels 20 or 30 times, and especially on Google Plus channels, it's going to amplify the results and increase where you rank when people are searching for this terminology? Now, they know if all of a sudden you post something and you have like 20 friends and you have like 1,000 shares, they know that too. But if you had like 10 shares and then your friends had 10 shares and it's naturally done, they can detect someone faking it. They really can. It's quite easy. I can detect it too. So, but if organically it's being shared, commented on, and read, it's going to give you a massive boost. There's another thing called author rank. This is relatively new and a little bit of a technical term, but I wanted to include it to let you all know that your content on your websites, your blogs, etc., you can put a tag in there that tells Google who authored it. Why does that help? Well, for a number of reasons. If Brent writes 300 blog articles in the next year, and Google learns to believe that Brent's content is typically unique and of high quality, when I release a new one, I get a boost immediately. They know it's not spam. They know chances are it's going to have the similar results. They know that as well. But also, I can link it to my Google Plus profile, which has a picture of me. Well, if you do a search for a specific blog article and you see a picture of Brent Mondu to the side of it, and you know Brent Mondu and you're connected to him or whatnot, it's going to result in more engagement again. Imagine that. Plain text results on Google, you're searching, and all of a sudden there's a picture. It just draws your eye to it. And those social signals I talked about, who likes it and shares it, it validates the value of it and the authenticity of the content that you are writing. So it plays a role in where those results happen. In terms of mobile and responsive design, it improves your rank on mobile devices. Now, it doesn't mean that if you don't have a mobile site, you're not going to have a high rank when people search. What it means, again, is the same thing. Google is measuring if someone goes to your site, how long they stay on it, how many clicks, whether or not they accomplish the goal. And they know this by you going to the search engine and them clicking it. Or if they don't know it because you don't have Google Analytics installed on your site, and you've left the site and they have no way to track it, then they have to assume that you may or may not have given the results. But if someone has analytics installed on their site and they know that they got the results there, they have no choice, but they've got to favor that result first, with exception to the 200 other signals that I am talking about. This is one of many signals. In that one signal's regard, it is very, very important. Chances are if you build, and it's proven time and time again, our website already has 20% of its traffic from mobile devices, and it's growing fast. A couple of months ago, it was 11%. It's just unbelievably fast how much mobile devices have become more and more important. And so we've been measuring our response rate from that. We've been measuring our engagement on that. And as a result of that, our reg has boosted in many of the keywords that we target over time. Localization. You can add map data, and you can add data on local sites, Google Local, etc. And so Google's doing a big push towards local, especially for consumer-oriented businesses, so restaurants, bars, yoga clubs, etc. So localization becomes very, very, very important, and so adding in geographical information into your site and content to make sure that Google knows where you're located. And there is another set of Webmaster tools that we will discuss shortly, that in Google you can go into and set up where you're located. So they know when they're doing localization type searches on their web or their mobile devices, or even their mobile apps that they have, it can favor your data over someone else's if you've configured it. One thing that surprised me a little bit was that media-rich sites consistently rank higher. So I did a bit more research on this. There is a caveat. Media-rich sites consistently rank higher so long as two things. It's also got some content to support that media-rich site so that Google knows what that content's about. And number two, it also has high engagement and watch rates. And it ranks even higher when it's through YouTube because they measure analytics on that as well. So hosting your videos on YouTube, they know if someone watches from a 1-hour webinar that's recorded and put up there, if someone watches 48 minutes, or they know if someone watches 3 minutes and leaves. And they know if 100,000 people watched it, how many people left. So based on that, they can determine how relevant that result is as well. Next question. Any company interested in improving their position in search engines should seek out an expert that can confidently guarantee ranking. So this was on Google's website in their Webmaster Tools section. I decided to include it to see what people think. So I'll just pop that up and have people answer. And share those results. So in this case, most people got it correct. Nobody can guarantee you ranking. Think about it. If you called me tomorrow and said, Brent, I want to increase my search engine rank for the following 5 terms. Can you guarantee me a page 1 ranking? Brent can guarantee you one, but he's full of it, unfortunately. Because the problem is, Brent does not know what your competitors are doing. He does not know if they're currently actively writing blogs. He does not know what efforts they're doing in terms of search engine optimization. And he does not know how frequently they're doing this. So an example could be Brent could do a bunch of work to help you position yourself high in search engine optimization ranks 1 time or 3 times over the next 3 months. But this other competitor of yours may have someone doing this every month full-time or part-time. And so that varies from industry to industry, obviously. So, in fact, some industries entirely ignore it and just coast or just accept status quo or don't leverage the benefit of online marketing. But that, in that case, is false. So here's some recommendations directly from Google Webmaster that I wanted to include. Don't hire any SEO expert who guarantees ranking. They are full of it. These are very, very good tips. And I would love to show you each and every one of them hands-on, but in a 45-minute session, I'm choosing to provide you with more value rather than showing you the how to do it. I want you to know what you need to do so that you can take this away and do it right. So every page must include a unique topic, title, and meta description. I'll give you a brief example of this. I have a client that sells maps. And his website was organized by maps, and many of them were hidden behind a search engine. But when they weren't, they were just listed in maps and pages of it. None of the pages had unique topics, titles, or meta descriptions, so their ranking was getting hurt. But as soon as they decided to focus in on search engine optimization, we helped them with that project, just the disclosure. So what happened was we looked at what are the types of users and what kind of maps are they looking for? Well, it ended up being, it could be for what use? Fishing, hunting, camping, biking maps, etc. It could be for what type? Topographical, heat sensitive, etc. And it could be geographical location. Canada, United States, Europe, etc. And so all of these, breaking down the site based on use, not only helps the user, but it infinitely helps better their search engine optimization ranks because that's how people search for maps. They don't just go to Google and type map. They want a fishing map for a specific lake, etc. So think about it. If you have 5 services and you ask your web designer, I just want a one-page site, and I want to bunch all those 5 services on one page. Sure, you're going to save money on that website design. No problem. It's perfect, and it's fine. They're going to make a quick dollar making a simple one-page website design for you. But what you're doing is you're trading your costs now, your short-term costs, for your long-term gains because you're not going to get targeted search engine results. You're not going to get business from your website. You're treating it as a brochure. Hey, go here and look at this. It's a brochure. It's not a website at that point. So think about it from that regard. If you have links on your site, use descriptive anchor text. It sounds difficult, but it's not. And I'll show you a tangible example of that afterwards. So, but what it is instead of putting it, click here. No, you can say, go to Ottawa Better Websites or Ottawa Website Design. And that Ottawa Website Design is the link that goes there. Well, now Google has some context as to what that link is. And so that's an example of it. Now, we will look at a tangible example after that. Create buzz around your products and services and aim for conversions. So what a conversion is if you have a website and you build it, you generally say, okay, I have goals. You either want to be emailed or called or someone to purchase something from your site. Those are the conversions. Those are the goals. So maybe I should use the word goals here. It would have been simpler. I'll change that next time. Use Google Analytics and set those up in there. Tell Google, these are my goals. Why do you do that? Now Google knows when people are finding what they want on your site, or at the very least what you want. But at the end of the day, they can also discern if they're doing what you want, which is contacting you for a service or product or whatnot, which is what most businesses are doing, then at least they are getting to that stage. You've accomplished getting to that stage, so they're finding what they're looking for. And that's not always right. Google's making some assumptions there, but in general, it works out well for them. Now, one surprising thing I saw, and I knew this before, but I didn't know how much of an effect it has, your page load time is a factor in your ranking, period. If your website loads too slow, your website rank will be impacted by it. It's unavoidable. So that is one of the things that you need to think about. If you have a $10 a month website host and it's slow, and there's a $20 a month option, that $10 extra or those 2 extra coffees versus how much more revenue you can gain from the rank gain, get to a website host that offers you a better load time. And at the least also, then chances are you're going to find a website that already probably has more enterprise scale solutions so that it's not going to go down as much, et cetera. There might be side benefits there. Now, I can't guarantee that, but your page load rank time does have a factor on your ranking. I can guarantee that. So what are the most common mistakes reported by Google? One of them is a single-dimensional approach. So you have 6 products, 6 niche target clients, but you make one website with one focus. You have 3 products, 3 product pages, and there's no details about your target audience. Not going to help you. On the other end of the spectrum, there's a segmented approach, which is overdoing it. So overdoing it would be if you have 5 products and it targets, 25 clients, you make 125 pages to make sure you've covered every one of those. That's overdoing it. So there has to be a reasonable balance to it. Because at that point, it will look like that. You're doing it just from a regard of, you know, overcomplicating it. Or in the end, actually, it's really simple how Google measures that. Does the user find what they're looking for when they come to your site if you have analytics installed? Chances are, if you have 125 pages, it's going to be very hard for them to find. They're going to leave your site frustrated, and your stats are going to reflect that from a Google perspective. And so what will happen is, yes, your score will go down as a result of that. Now, I was surprised this wasn't number one, but it is on the list, getting caught in search engine optimization trends. How many times have you heard a trend, oh, do this, do that, do this, and you're sitting there and you're like, okay, I got to do that, and you go and do that, and your rank doesn't change. These trends are sometimes true and sometimes false. You need to make sure that they are true before you start investing time and energy into them. I get my results, I get my information straight from the horse's mouth, and this webinar shows you the links that you can get it also straight from the horse's mouth. And finally, time-consuming workarounds, and I have a great example of this one as well. I had a client that was selling clothing online, and they had an issue with their website that was set up initially, and the web addresses and whatnot were not optimal. It was like view product question mark ID equals 3362. So there was no keywords in it. And they were working with their web server and the software they had installed to try and get around this so that they could get better URLs and so they could get better content showing. And they spent months and months and months on this. And by the time they got that, this thing was in a reasonably decent shape. But the problem was that they had lost all their rank as a result of the numerous changes and the numerous attempts trying to work around the original problem, which they should have just rewritten the way the site was set up. It would have saved them a lot of money up front, but not just that, it wouldn't have hurt their rank throughout it. So let's talk about SEO in layman terms, here in my terms. So what is the main parts of SEO? There is on-page SEO, and there is off-page SEO. So on-page SEO is the efforts you do on your website. Off-page SEO is the stuff you don't do on your website that's done online, on other websites that link to yours. Which one is more important? Neither. They serve different purposes. The on-page stuff tells Google what's on your site. The off-page stuff, linking to you, tells Google how important or how relevant the content on your site is. They play an equal role. So I like to describe this as each one of these is 100% as important as the other. Therefore, it's 200% important, which doesn't make sense, but it's to get the point across that they are both equally vital. So let's look at optimizing your site when talking about on-page SEO. Step one, the most basic, figure out your goals. Who do you sell to? Who are your clients? And why do they buy from you? Think like your customer and determine where you stand. And research keywords with Google AdWords. So an example of this would be, if you're in Google AdWords, there's a tool called the Keyword Research Tool. I will show you where it is today, and I'll do one search, but I will not be going beyond that because of time constraints. And write rich content. Don't focus on keyword density. Side note, Google can detect if you copy-paste most documents from Microsoft Word. And they will detect characters in there that they will assume that your content was grabbed from the other sites or other documents, etc., and they may assume that it's not uniquely written. So that's just one of the potential risks. If you're adding a whole bunch of content all the time to your site and you're copying it from a number of sources, that could impact your rank negatively. So let me just pull up Google AdWords. So Google AdWords enables me to buy keywords for my site. This is paid marketing. But this tool is also where I can do a lot of my unpaid and organic search results as well. This is my results here over last. So you can see I spent $1,500 in the last 30 days on paid advertising. That's another topic. I may touch on it briefly at the end if I have time, but because it does work, but we'll get into that later if we have time. Under Tools and Analysis, you'll see a keyword tool right here. And it'll usually load in on the default to the second tab. You have to click over to the first tab, which is keyword research. Let's see if it's still the same. They're always evolving. So I apologize that it's a bit slow, but once it does load, it gives you access to a lot of tools. Right, so it's in Ad Group Ideas, which is their new beta. They're trying to sell people on it. So go to Keyword Ideas, and you can type in, Ottawa flowers and search. It will do the search and find out what people are searching for, how many people are searching for it globally. That's, it'll tell you what global defines, and how many people are searching for it locally, which is surrounding the area of what your website is defined. So, and so you can see how many people are searching for these words and try to figure out, what are the search words that I should be including in my site? And remember, after you include it once or twice, it's not going to help your score all that much. Now, you can watch that Google video if you don't believe me on that. So just scroll through this. Some of these are very, very specific. Ottawa flowers, free delivery. Maybe you don't want to show up if you have free delivery, stuff like that. So these are examples. I'll let you all do your own research on your own time, unfortunately, due to time constraints. But I just wanted to show you where that tool is. Now, optimizing your website. Remember I talked about separating your pages? This is an example, optimizing one page at a time. You see on the left, a lawyer I was working with had all of their content on one page. When we were done, they had it separated into each page based upon their services, and each one of those had different titles, different page names, different web addresses, different keywords, different images and alt names, a whole bunch of different content that was related to those specific services. And they have 300% more traffic today as a result of that, and that's only 5 months later. It's that simple. Using search engine friendly web addresses in this scenario. Number one, they were using service ID equals 3. In the second scenario, they used services estate planning. And in the third one, we said, well, you're only doing service in Ottawa, so let's include Ottawa in there. And let's do some keyword research and use the keywords that is most searched for in the Ottawa area to increase your results. And these are not just in the web address. This is also in the content in the site strategically, again, once or twice, not more than that. And that helps again. Very, very important. Creating links with descriptive anchor text. Wanted to show you results here. So visit yourbiz.com for more info. Well, what is your biz? Or your biz is a lawyer that specializes in estate planning. Well, Google will measure a sentence and will associate all of those keys to each other, so it's smart enough to know that. But the third one is the better one. Ottawa estate planning and legal will preparation. It is all part of the link. It really makes a difference. These things add up over time. So the importance of content. Your content has to be topic related but not topic abusive. I'm going to show you an example after that will surprise you. But if you write poorly cut English, if you outsource your writing to an offshore team that doesn't write very good English, it will hurt you massively. Google assumes that's spam. It actually measures the quality of the English language written. But they do it also for French, on the French site. They do it also for every other geographical region. They're trying to provide relevant content. It has to be accessible. Avoid forms or scripted code where unnecessary. Oftentimes, there's a form on the site, and it hides a lot of content behind it, and that's for good reasons. Obviously, you're entitled to keep that there if you want to protect content and use that as a lead generation. But if that's unnecessary to get access to the content, you should consider changing the way that works. And making sure your content is current, update it when it isn't. So I didn't say you need to keep your content fresh at all times. Keep it current. So an example of this, one of the algorithms, and I couldn't believe it, I was really impressed with Google, was that if you're claiming that, Facebook has 700 million active users, and it's known based on Google stats that they have 1 billion active users, guess what? They automatically know your content's X months old because you're using old stats. Or they assume that, maybe wrongfully. But automatically, that will penalize your score. That was breathtaking to me. Maybe it's not as much breathtaking to you guys, but it still surprises me today. And create a sitemap. You don't know what content's being indexed or not, and maybe you do to an extent, but as of today. But on an ongoing basis, you're not going to be able to actively monitor this each and every day. So create a sitemap. Have that submitted. Use sitemaps.org to figure out how to do it and where to start. There are hundreds of tools for it. Create a sitemap. Submit it in Google Webmaster Tools to Google, and they will always use it to make sure all of your pages are indexed that you want indexed. Use it. That's why Google built it. So this is an example of topic-related but not topic-abusive. And this, again, is surprising. In scenario 1, they've used the words more times. In scenario 2, they used it less. But in scenario 2, the words are spread out, and it's more, now pretend these sentences flow, and I didn't use sample text. But in scenario 2, Google's going to assume it's more natural written English. It's going to score it higher. It's not all bunched at the top and then one keyword at the bottom. It's not all content about one thing and then totally unrelated topic, etc. It flows well, and you get scored based upon that. Multimedia content. Take time to describe your images. Use alt tags or put text and a description underneath them. Take that time. Include transcripts with video and audio content. So many times I see video and audio content without that. Now, obviously, you may not want to do that because you want your site to look super cool and slick and clean and professional, and that's fine. You need to find a way to do it without making it not look cool, slick, professional, etc. But at the same time, it is of importance. Google needs to know what the content is. Side benefit. If you host that video at Google, you can do that all within YouTube and then embed the YouTube video in your site, and they already know all that stuff. You don't need to worry about it. Not just that, you don't have to worry about the hosting of the video. You don't have to worry about the streaming, the technical complexities, and the cost of it. Beautiful. And of course, avoid flash where, unless necessary, or at least provide an alternative. So we have a flash banner on our site that markets some of our services. If you hit it on an iPad or a tablet, etc., we have a non-flash alternative. If we thought it brought us enough value and new business, take the time to do the non-flash alternative. If you don't, it's fine. You're just hurting your own rank, and you're hurting your own number of leads that may come through that door as a result of where you rank. So off-page SEO, what is it, and how is it important? Off-page SEO is essentially where other websites are linking to your website, so link building and whatnot. Now, I've written this here to describe this with formal terms, authoritative sites with relevant content. But I'm going to describe this a little easier. I'm just going to move on and show you something here. All sites have a page rank between 1 and 10. 1 would be a new site, and 10 would be Google, Yahoo, Bing, etc. 4, 5, or 6 would be Ottawa Chamber of Commerce, N-VisionIT Interactive, etc. Probably not 6. 6, 7, 7 is starting to be authoritative sites, news sites, New York Times, etc. 7, 8, 9, 10. Now, here's why I tell you this. This table is complicated, so don't worry the next slide. I just want to show you this for 1 second. Right here, it says how many links required for pages from PageRank 1. So if you want to score a PageRank 10 and be really relevant, you need 84 million PageRank 1 sites linking to you. Or you need only 18 other PageRank 10 sites linking to you. And you can see how this dramatically changes. Why? Well, if I have the same site as you, the exact same site, same content, same links, same everything, and someone searches for Ottawa sporting goods. We both own a sporting goods store. Who shows up first? Well, all of those 200 criteria come into play. But this is one of the ones that is absolutely major because this decides how relevant you are and how important you are. And what it does is if Brent Mondu is linked to from Ottawa.com and the other individual is linked to from mamaspizzeria.com or whatever, they're probably going to choose Brent Mondu first because Ottawa.com has a higher ranking score. To put this into another context, let's move forward. Each rank is approximately 10 times more powerful than the previous rank. So if you have 100 PageRank 1 sites linking to you, I only need 10 PageRank 2s linking to me, or 1 PageRank 3. That's powerful. Now, when you remember that and understand that, it's enormous. And this is one of the most important pieces of information I'm going to talk about today because you cannot just get anyone to link to you. You can't go out there and spam forums. You can't go out there and trade links and say, can you put this link there and I'll link back to you, etc. And that's another thing. Trading links, they cancel each other out. Google says, they traded links. We're not going to give you the same rank and relevance for that. So there is one other thing, bad links, or bad neighborhoods, as Google calls it. If you go out there and you post 100 links on search engines, on forums, and they're known to be spammy and people are doing this to try and boost their score, they penalize you for it. They not only don't give you points for it and count it, they penalize you for it. So here in this instance on the left, you see, like I said, PageRank 10 is Google. PageRank 5 is Ottawa.com. A new site starts at PageRank 0. 8, 9, and 10 are elite sites. 6 and 7 are authority sites. Average sites are between 3 and 5. So just to give you an idea of this. Common rookie mistakes in off-page SEO is flooding the web with inbound links. In scenario 1 here, someone's got 4 links to them. In scenario 2, someone flooded the net with, I don't know what that is. I just drew it. Probably 40 links. What's funny here is Google also measures your growth rate. If you had 100 links this month and next month you have 10,000 links, unless something big happened in the news related to your company and it's on an authority site, they're going to know that you flooded the net instantly. Slow and steady wins the race. You cannot flood the net. You cannot boost your rank from a page rank 1 to a page rank 10 in a month without an authority site's help, without getting in the news and having someone big like CNN talk about you. So those are just some examples to give you an understanding that don't go out there and flood the net getting inbound links all over the place. It is a slow, gradual process. And many companies I work with dedicate, 8 hours a month to it. Some of them dedicate 24 or 30 hours a month to it. Some of them dedicate only 2 hours a month to it, but they are still dedicating some time to it. So an example is you need to decide what pace you want to do, and if you want to do it, and who's going to do it, who's responsible, and how you're going to do it, and what your approach is. And that all goes back to your initial planning. Now, another common rookie mistake is search engine optimization cannibalization. Remember I talked about earlier where I said each page needs to have its own unique content? In scenario 1 here, someone's title is Ottawa Cakes for 4 pages. But they don't all have to do with just Ottawa Cakes. The better situation would be for them to put the unique content in here. They had a page specifically for wedding cakes. They had one for special event cakes, and they had one for anniversary cakes. And, of course, it links back to the generic one, Ottawa Cakes. I can't tell you how much better the second option is here because it is infinitely better. It is so much better. How is Google going to know which one of the 4 on the left to show if someone does a search for wedding cakes? How? You need to tell them. You need to set up your site appropriately so that Google has a fighting chance to rank your results, your pages appropriately. It is your responsibility, not theirs. There are lots of tools of the trade, lots. So these tools of the trade are the best ones that I would recommend. Google Webmaster. I could have an entire 2-hour workshop on this alone. But here's the most important features of Google Webmaster. It'll help you to be notified of issues. And issues could be like, oh, you have a virus on your site. It actually detects that. There's so much adware. 1 in 10 sites online right now, it's a shocking number, have adware. You know those pop-ups that you don't even know about, why they're there? Those things. Like, all of a sudden one day you have this thing, pay $29.99, you have a virus. Well, that's adware. You can examine your keyword performance, which ones are performing well. It'll tell you everything. It'll tell you what it thinks your site's about. It'll give you clues as to whether or not your site is built well. You can check what links are linking to you. So if you have 50 sites online linking to you, you can see that in there and it shows it to you. It'll tell you what your site errors are and it'll help you fix it. And you can submit sitemaps on a regular basis, keep it up to date. All of these are absolutely vital for your rank. In terms of AdWords, we showed you that briefly, but I think you know the value of that. You can research your keywords, what you want to write your content on. Now you understand what users are searching for in your industry. Ask some friends and family. You may be too close to yourself, like to your business, to give an unbiased result here. So ask some friends and family for some ideas. If you were looking for a blah, what would you search for? And start with those terms. And Google Skip Fish. It's a security assessment tool. You can run it and do tests against your website to see if you have any vulnerabilities. Why? If you have vulnerabilities, it will hurt your rank. In fact, it could blacklist your rank if you have vulnerabilities, depending on how severe they are. Those ads that pop up, again, they can blacklist you too, depending on how severe they are. The Google Webmaster tool, however, though, you can submit once you've cleaned it up. You can submit and explain it and get them to unblacklist you. That's also another very good use of that. So paid search engine marketing is another part of search engine optimization. It is the paid portion of it, not organic. Many companies say, I don't want to pay for it. I already got enough traffic, or I got 3 calls a day, or I got X. Why would I ever do that? I'll tell you why I do it, and you can decide whether or not it's worth it to you. I can guarantee you one thing, though. I've increased my revenue by 40% alone with this option. So last year alone, I made several $100,000 in revenue additional as a result of paid search engine marketing bringing me leads. I can't target everything. I can't try and be at the top of the search engines for Ottawa web design while trying to be in the top of the search engines for Los Angeles web design at the same time. And I can't duplicate all my content and have Google not assume that I'm just trying to keyword load. Paid search engine marketing is critical for a business that's trying to grow. And it's even more critical for a new business. This is irony because a new business doesn't have money, but it is even more critical for a new business because they don't have any clients yet. You can turn on and off these paid search engine marketing efforts like a faucet. Oh, I need more clients right now. Business is slow. Turn it on. Now, again, it seems counterproductive. I got to spend money to make money? Yes, you do. And we've used it so well when new trends are hitting, and we've started to target new markets, making iPhone applications, making social media games, Facebook apps, etc. It really works well. You get immediate and consistent traffic. You're right at the top. You get 35% of all clicks. 35%, 1 out of 3 clicks is paid on Google. And you're above everyone else's organic efforts that they've been building up for years. You can increase your reach and your targeted reach. As you notice, you have new target markets, or you think of new target markets, you can automatically adjust to them. And remember this. If you're not getting that sale today, your competitor is. It's a double whammy. If you're not getting that traffic, someone else is, and they're getting that sale. So not only are you at that revenue, your competitor has that extra revenue. It makes it even harder for you to compete in that space. So here's those tools I told you about to learn more. I won't leave it on the screen too long because you're going to get a copy of this video anyhow. But I wanted to make sure you had them so you can look at them. There's a lot of help in there. There's hundreds of hours of videos. There's hundreds of hours of reading of blogs. Obviously, you may not have time for all of it, which is why I covered most of the high-level important stuff for you to think about. Hopefully, I've helped you to realize the importance of getting business, because if you have a beautiful website, if it talks about your products appropriately, and you don't understand why you don't have a whole lot of clients breaking down your door, chances are it's what we talked about today. If they can't find you when they're looking for you, they are not choosing you. You don't even get a chance to be part of that consideration. That hurts anyone's bottom line. So now it's time for questions. I'm going to have them organized, and I'll get started shortly. Feel free to continue submitting while I go through these questions. But thank you for your time. For those of you who do have to step out before the questions, please take a moment to answer the post-webinar questions for the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce to let them know if you've got value from this, and more importantly, what future topics you'd like to be covered in webinars. Thank you. All right. So I'm just going to organize my screen here so I can see all these questions coming in as they do. Just bear with me for a second, please. All right, so one of the questions here I have is that small businesses struggle with limited money, time, and expertise to address SEO and web initiatives. With this in mind, what are the top 1, 2, 3 things that a business owner should focus on? I would have to say it's make sure you have your plan documented and you follow your plan. So your plan should be a 2 to 5 year plan. Who are your clients? Who do you want them to be? Where are they going, etc. So what services are they buying, and how is your business evolving in the next 2 to 5 years? Make sure your site is split up by those types of approaches and make sure you write the keywords as best to your best ability and the content, and set it up in a way that you're going to target each one uniquely. That is the best brief summary I can give for that. But if you want more on that, you can email me, and I can give you a bit more advice as well. So what would be your advice for nonprofits who may not have the same flexibility but wants to optimize our search results? One of the keys there I've seen is that nonprofits, I work with a number of nonprofits and charities, and I'm working with a couple of them that I won't name right now just because I don't want to use this for marketing purposes. But we find in these scenarios it's very easy to get inbound links from relevant people. We're doing it for charity. We're doing it to raise money. Asking someone to link to our charity, especially the organizations we're helping support or the organizations that are helping to support us, and the attendees that are coming to our events and whatnot, it really results in a lot of inbound links that are so relevant that it boosts your score so much. Remember, there may be 200 attributes, and it may add up as part of the score, but your inbound links is a significant part of that score. Now, I can't tell you if it's X% or Y%. Google does not and will not ever release that because people will try and game it. But that's an example of it. So another question here is, in what way do you suggest including the video or audio transcript content? So videos, when you use YouTube and host them on YouTube and include them on your site, the transcripts are encoded right, like you can actually include them right in there, so it's not as important. The video and audio, using a nice little tab for someone to be able to read it and not showing it as default so it's a clutter of the screen is a good way, because then Google can index it. And so that's a very good way to include that content as well. In terms of tools to learn how to use Google Analytics, I did a webinar workshop for the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce that is also available online on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/betterwebsites. It's an hour webinar, and you can take a look at that to learn the basics of Google Analytics. So that was done several months ago, probably 4 or 5 months ago, so it may have a bit of outdated features in there, like they continue to evolve very quickly. But at least you can take a look at it there and get started there. And there are links in there that will help you to learn more about it as well, which is fantastic. This webinar will be emailed out from the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce to you. It'll be a link to the YouTube video, so you can watch it again and again as you wish. So Google has a website called Google Trends that you can access popular keywords in Google. And that's an easy way for you to find the popular keywords because they show you the trending keywords and whatnot. It's called Google Trends. So that's one of the ways. But the Google AdWords research tool really helps you a lot because if you're looking for very specific popular keywords in your categories, it's in Google AdWords, it's under Tools, and it's Research Keyword Tool. And when you load that, it's on the first tab down below. They load you on a beta tab by default. So one of the questions is interesting. It's what percentage of companies turn to the web as a source for suppliers versus traditional channels like word of mouth? I don't have any formal stats on that, and I'm not about to make anything up. It's just not my style. Obviously, word of mouth is still very powerful, and this should not ever discount it. This should complement it. Word of mouth is still very important. Networking events is still very important. Getting out there and getting known is still very important. What search engine optimization helps you with is those people that otherwise would not get to know you. They may not run into you at a networking event. Maybe you go to a networking event, there's 200 people there, and you talk to 6. Well, there's 194 others that may not ever get to talk to you, and you may have left something on the table when you left there too. There's no way for you to ever know that. This is where search engine optimization helps that immensely. All right. An interesting question that I had was about duplicate content. And someone asked, what if I wrote the content first and someone else put it online and Google thought they wrote it uniquely because they indexed them first? In Google Webmaster Tools, there are features in there that you can submit and say that what content is yours and what's in there. And you can actually submit a, I forget what it's called. I'm running I have a blank right now, but it's inside their Google Webmaster Tools, and you can say that that content is actually yours. So there's also another tool in there. This is an interesting one too. So if you have links that are in bad neighborhoods and it'll hurt your rank, can't I just submit a whole bunch of links into bad neighborhoods and it'll hurt my competitors' ranks? You can, and it'll work for a while, maybe for a long while if they're not technologically savvy. In fact, maybe someone's doing that against you right now. But that Google Webmasters tool you can log into, and there's a disavow link tool. You can check who's inbound linking to you. And if it's bad neighborhoods, like if you see it's like something.forum.denmark, and you're like, wow, we didn't post that, you can actually tell Google that. You can use the disavow link tool, telling Google, ignore those links. I didn't do that. Someone's trying to harm me. Very important tool to know. Because if you are in a very competitive space, chances are your competitors may or may not know this and may or may not have already tried to start harming you. Very, very important. What about content freshness? You said it doesn't matter, but it does matter when talking about query deserves freshness. Can you tell me more about that? Okay, so essentially, freshness is not the same as current. Your content should be current. It should not include old stats. Google will figure that out, and they will disrank you. But freshness doesn't necessarily matter in say, we're trying to find the best architect in Ottawa, so Ottawa Architects. Or we're trying to find the best insurance company, Ottawa Insurance, or Ottawa Employee Benefits Insurance, etc. They're going to choose their ranks based on that, and it's not necessarily going to use freshness as a score in their website algorithm when they're deciding who to show first. But let's say today there's a massive piece of news that comes out about a new technology, hologram technology. And you do a search about hologram technology. Google might decide that that deserves freshness. So any articles written, the freshness will impact its rank and its score. So that's when it matters. So if you're in a leading edge technology space and a new technology comes out, keep your content fresh surrounding those, because then it does start to matter. Oh, interesting one. Should I use dashes or underscores in web addresses? This is an interesting one, and it is covered in Google's videos. But it's a little bit complicated to explain. Use dashes. Don't use underscores. I'll try and explain. If you use an underscore, Google assumes that's one word. So if you had like betterwebsites.ca/social underscore media underscore certification or something like that, unless someone searched for exactly social media certification, my page won't necessarily match up with those terms, because an underscore makes it assume that it's all part of the same word. If you use dashes, if I search for social media or social certification, it will come up as a result of it. They use them and measure them differently. If at all possible, use dashes, not underscores. All right. I'm just reading a few more questions that have popped in. Unfortunately, I don't have time to talk more about paid SEO, Google Ads and whatnot, but if you do wish to email me, feel free to. My email address was included on the CC from Kenny. I love to talk about these topics. I love to teach. It's one of my passions, so please don't be shy. And in terms of SEO certificates, quote unquote, they get outdated fast. I don't necessarily recommend them per se, and I don't have any recommendations on what courses are good and which ones are not, unfortunately, because it changes and evolves over time. My recommendation is learn from the horses. Horses is, I don't know how to pluralize that word, mouths, because Google, Yahoo, and Bing have phenomenal content, and what you'll learn from some people, even those courses that are out there, even some of the courses I took currently here in my own geographical location, had irrelevant and outdated content, and the teachers teaching it did not know. They were just following a curriculum. Be very careful. Learn from current information. Someone said something bad about me and linked it to my site. Can I get rid of it? It's going to be very difficult. You can find it with Google Alerts. I have Google Alerts set up for, N-VisionIT Interactive or Brent Mondu and stuff like that. So I can use Google Alerts to find out when there's anything new posted about me on the net. Automatically, it emails me every day. Fantastic tool, by the way, google.com/alerts. But removal's not easy. So go to Google Webmaster Tools, go to their help. They'll tell you the steps you can go through to report it. The earlier question about reporting someone's content that is your own and telling Google that's my content, it's on their site, by the way, it's google.com/dmca.html. Thanks to my assistant for bringing that to me. I didn't have it on hand when I was going through that, and as you can see, my memory's not perfect. I have lots more to go. If you have any more questions, please email me. I'm unfortunately out of time. I'd like to thank the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce for hosting this event and for all of you for participating in it. Please take the 1 minute to provide feedback to the Ottawa Chamber of Commerce as to what you thought about the webinar and what you would like to see in the future. Thanks once again, and I hope you all have a wonderful afternoon.